And welcome to this quick tutorial on interior protection plans. So we're going to continue with this example of this rear and second story addition in the west end of Toronto. We've already done our exterior protection plan. So now we have to consider how we're going to work inside the existing house. So the scope of work in terms of the existing basement and main floor is pretty limited to making the connections to the work on the second story. So main story, remains basically the same. The upstairs is where all the work happens. So there's an existing little 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom second floor, and it's not a full second floor. Half of this is really removed to allow us to build a full second story that has 2 smaller bedrooms, 1 large master. We add another 4-piece bath, add a study, and renovate the existing main bathroom. So despite the work being, concentrated to the second floor, when you look at the house in section, most of the work is upstairs. You're still going to be affecting the ceilings of the first floor where you're making plumbing changes, like the new master bathroom. And then down in the basement, you'll be downstairs, up and down to get to the mechanical room, to the panel, and to the water shutoff. So if we go back to our space and then consider, again, the best thing to start with is where you're going to enter to get to the second floor. So the second floor is accessed by a staircase here that comes down to the main floor. And if I go down to the first floor, it's sort of just a staircase hallway, and then it is accessed by a side door. And that same staircase also goes down to the basement, and that's adjacent to the mechanical room. So this is a nice, efficient plan to work with. So let's start with maybe the main story is that we come in and just work our way through it. I've created a small little key diagram in the bottom corner with what I'm going to be working with. I'm going to offer ram board for some floor protection. For some of the stairs, because this is a multi-month project, I want something a bit more hard-wearing than simply ram board, so I'm going to do some plywood tread caps. There might be some areas where I'm setting up some saws or miter saws, table saws for a work area. Maybe I want some plywood laid on top of that ram board for additional protection. I've got a red dashed line for a door bumper. Anything I want a bumper around a corner or a door jamb, I've got a red. And then any kind of window or door that I might want to either put a plywood skin on or something to not be able to damage it, I'm going to do that in blue. So starting with my entrance, what I can simply do is I'm going to grab my markup tools, and this is preview. I'm going to grab a box, and I'm going to turn that to the brown color, and I can turn off the stroke because I don't really need that. And I'm also going to set the opacity a bit lower so you can actually see the drawing beneath. So because that whole entrance from the interior is going to be covered in ram board, I'm going to set that up like so. So we'll come in the door, we have ram board down, and we have ram board up. So that's working pretty well for me. So let's take that same shape and maybe just go down to the basement and continue that, because I'm going to be using that same set of stairs to get down to the mechanical room. And because I'm going to be down in this mechanical room a few times, shutting off the boiler, accessing the panel, I'm also going to put ram board across this floor, and then probably also into the mechanical room itself, so that I have just a clean way to not take off my boots or anything to get down to these rooms. So that can simply just get taped down. Now, because I won't be doing really heavy construction work downstairs, I don't have to consider doing, heavy plywood and other types of protection. I'm also not thinking I'll be making a lot of dust. I'm not going to do a lot of dust protection down here either. So going back to the main floor, when we get to our dust control plan, this might be an area where you want to put something across this floor here. And let's take the same shape and then go upstairs to our existing second floor. Because the stairs remain, we're going to protect that. Now, the hallway itself probably doesn't get protected because so much happens here. We'll be patching a new flooring, so the flooring must change in this upper hallway. I'm not going to change that. If the existing bathroom is going to remain kind of unchanged here, I'm also going to protect that space, just the actual work area. And if I'm really not going to be in that room at all, I'm probably just going to close the door for my dust control plan and just say that it's out of scope. And that way I don't have an option or an ability to impact those finishes. So that's kind of my floor protection. Now, because this staircase is the one that's going to be the heaviest up and down, is I am going to do some tread caps. So if I just use this square as my little base, I'm going to change that to yellow because that's my tread cap color, and change the opacity. So I'm going to say that I'm going to do these stairs with tread caps, and I can just put this towards the center so I know that it's kind of randboard first, and then I have plywood on top. There's no exact science to this, but you're basically showing, how this is kind of working for us. And again, if I change the opacity, you can see that I can now actually see the stairs and even get a tread count, and I can see the dimensions. That's kind of helpful. As I get to the main floor, we'll copy one of these squares to show that it is continuous coming in from that. That side door will have a lot of activity coming in there, so I am going to protect that landing. Now, as far as doors I could use protection, certainly this side door is going to have a lot of action coming in and out of it. So I might even take some protection. And again, when you create your initial shape, it's going to create it with whatever color you're using previously. So I'm going to turn off the fill, turn on my blue stroke, and then change my line type to dashed to say that this doorway I'm going to protect because there's a lot of stuff coming into it. Now, as I think about door bumpers, let's think about just this main floor. I think this staircase, like these handrails, are going to see a lot of impact with dragging up tools, materials. I'm going to change this this color to red to insinuate that I want to protect that handrail. And that's a common theme I'll take down to the basement. Do that same level of protection downstairs. Whether or not I'll be doing a lot of stuff downstairs, I can say that this opening here I could protect. If this is really minor in and out, maybe I'm not protecting the jambs in there. But as you get to the upper floor, certainly this handrail will see a lot of impact dragging the tools, materials, and I can copy that shape up at the top as well. Now, because I have a window here that's actually in the turning radius of bringing up sheet material, I can also go back to, let's see, the main floor, copy my door protection, and say that, I'm going to protect this window up here as well. So that can be just a plywood skin that I can brad nail just the face of the casing and tack it in place. So I think this is working pretty well for me. The only thing I might do is add a couple more bumpers on high impact corners like this one on the upper floor, if it's plaster especially. That's going to be an area that will see a lot of impact as the project goes on. If I have existing doorways up here that I might be maintaining, I can certainly look at protecting those. I can also look at protecting the JM or even the door of the existing bathroom if it's remaining unchanged. And getting to the main floor, this looks all pretty good. So this kind of works for us as far as addressing the majority of our plan. So we have a way to get to the panel and mechanical room. We have a way to enter the main floor to protected staircase with sort of a plywood upon entry. And then certainly I have plywood tread caps getting up to the second floor. There's lots of activity. And I've done some protection on the newel post, handrails, and some of the door jambs, and I protected that window. Now, the one thing that should be mentioned is because we are removing the entire roof and we're adding a bathroom over here, we are going to need to get plumbing over to this area. And on the main floor, we have finished environments. So because I'll know I'll have to get this ceiling open at some point to make plumbing connections, even get wiring through there, I probably will at some point want to do a ram board covering through this area so that when I take that ceiling down, I have the floor protected in this room. Now, whether you do this all at the beginning of the project is based on how you're phasing it. But certainly, there's a lot of work happening over this area to get the plumbing up to that bathroom and even make some of those structural connections. So this is something I'll probably make a note of to say that we'd phase it in later when we need to. And when we do our dust control, we'd put a wall across here when we do that deconstruction and that plumbing work to make that work. And, I guess we have an area here, we have no way to get to it. So it might be that during those phases, we actually do an added hallway to sort of get to that work area. And probably I'd actually expand my jam protections and protect that door as well. And maybe even this corner up here in the front, just make sure it doesn't get banged into when we're taking stuff around the corner. So think through the rest of your project phases and make sure that even though you're not doing any construction work on the basement or main floors, that you are thinking about all the associated work that happens to run utilities. So quite important. So that's simply how we do a site protection plan. So start looking at really how you're going to enter the space, how you're going to get to mechanicals, set up a simple little key diagram, and copy and paste that to each page so that you have the same diagram to work with. Thanks.